Hello viewers, welcome back to part 2 of uh, me reading for 20 minutes every day, and it's 29th of March as I told you in the previous part, and I am recording this into two parts because the video paused because my phone wasn't charged. So I have paused my timer at 11 minutes, and I'll continue from where I left off. I just put my phone to charge and now I'm starting it again. So we were at habit tracking is satisfying. Benefit 3, habit tracking is satisfying. Let me start the timer again. Yeah. This is the most crucial benefit of all. Let me turn off the fan first. This is the most crucial benefit of all. Tracking can become its own form of reward. It is satisfying to cross an item on your to-do list, to complete an entry in your workout log, or to mark an X on the calendar. It feels good to watch your results grow. The size of your investment portfolio, the length of your book manuscript, and if it feels good, then you are more likely to endure it. Habit tracking also helps you keep an eye on the ball. You are focused on the process rather than the result. You are not fixated on getting six pack abs. You are just trying to keep the streak alive and become the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. In summary, habit tracking creates a visual cue that can remind you to act. Is inherently is inherently motivating because you see the progress you are making and don't want to lose it. And 3, feel satisfying when you record another successful instance of your habit. Furthermore, habit tracking provides visual proof that you are casting votes for the type of person you wish to become, which is delightful form of immediate and intrinsic gratification. Okay, delightful form of immediate and intrinsic gratification. You may be you may be wondering, if habit tracking is so useful, why we have waited for so long to talk about it. Despite all the benefits, I have left this discussion until now for a simple reason. Many people resist the idea of tracking and measuring. It can feel like a burden because it forces you into two habits. The habit you are trying to build and the habit of tracking it. Counting calories sound like a hassle when you are already struggling to follow a diet. Sales call seems Writing down every same sales call seems tedious when you have got work to do. It feels easier to say I'll just eat less, or I'll just try harder, or I'll try to remember doing it. I'll try remember I'll remember to do it. People inevitably tell me things like, I have a decision journal, but I wish I used it more. I have a decision journal, but I wish I used it more. Or I recorded my workouts for a week but then quit. I have been there myself. I once made a food log to track my calories. I managed to do it for one meal and then gave up. Tracking isn't for everyone, and there is no need to measure your entire life, but nearly anyone can benefit from it in some form, even if it's only temporary. What we can do to make tracking easier. Firstly, whenever possible, measurements should be automated. You'll probably be surprised by how much you are already tracking without knowing it. Your credit card statements track how often you go out to eat. Your Fitbit registers how many steps you take and how long you sleep. Your new places calendar records how many new places you have traveled to each year. Once you know where to get the data, add a note to your calendar to each week after e- review it each week or each month, which is more practical than tracking it every day. Second, manual tracking should be limited to your most important habits. It is better to consistently track one habit than to sporadically track 10. One habit. It is better to consistently track one habit than to sporadically track 10. Finally, record each measurement immediately after the habit occurs. The completion of the behavior is the cue to write it down. This approach allows you to combine the habit stacking method mentioned in chapter 5 with habit tracking. The habit stacking plus habit tracking formula is: after current habit, I will track my habit. I After I hang up the phone from a sales call, I will move. Why I'm stuttering a lot? Why am I stuttering a lot? After I hang up the phone call from a sales call, I'll move one paperclip over. After I finish each set at the gym, I will record in I will record it in my workout journal. After I put my plate in the dishwasher, I will write down what I ate. These tactics can make tracking your habits easier. Even if you aren't the type of person who enjoys recording your behavior, I think you will find a few weeks of measurements to be insightful. It's always interesting to see how you have actually been spending your time. That said, every habit streak ends at some point, and than any single more important than any single measurement is having a good plan for where your habits slide off track. Keeping a good plan for where your habits slide off track. How to recover quickly when your habits break down. No matter how consistent you are with your habits, it is inevitable that life will interrupt you at some point. Perfection is not possible. Before long, an emergency will pop up and you'll get sick and you'll have to travel for work or you have to travel for work or you or your family needs little more of your time. Whenever this happens, Whenever this happens to me, I try to remind myself of a simple rule: never miss twice. If I miss one day, I try to get back into as soon as quickly possible. Missing one workout happens, but I'm not going to miss two in a row. Maybe I'll eat an entire pizza, but follow it up with a healthy meal. But I'll follow it up with a healthy meal. It can be perfect, but I can avoid a second lapse. As soon as one streak ends, I get started on the next one. The first mistake is never the one that ruins. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Okay. This is distinguishing feature behavior between winners and losers. Anyone can have a bad performance, a bad workout, or a bad day at work. But when successful people fail, they rebound quickly. The breaking of a habit doesn't matter if the reclaiming of it is fast. Doesn't matter if the reclaiming of it is fast. I think this principle is so important that I'll stick to it even if I can't do a habit as well or as completely as I would like. Too often, we often fall into all or nothing cycle with our habits. The problem is not slipping up. The problem is thinking that if you can do something perfectly, then you shouldn't do it. If you can do it, if you can do something perfectly, then you shouldn't do it at all. You don't realize how valuable it is to just show up on your bad day or busy days. Lost lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. If you start with $100, then a 50% gain will get you to $150. But you only need a 33% loss to take you back to 100. Okay. In other words, avoiding 30. Sorry for the interruption, guys. You don't realize how valuable it is to just show up on your bad days. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. If you start with $100, then a 50% gain will get you to $150. But once but you will only need a 30 but you'll only need a 33% loss to take you back to $100. In other words, avoiding 33% loss is just as valuable. Avoiding 33% loss is just as valuable as achieving a 50% gain. As Charlie Munger says, the first rule of compounding never interrupt is the first rule of compounding never interrupt it unnecessarily. This is why the bad workouts are often the most important ones. Sluggish days and bad workouts maintain the compound gains you acquired from previous good days. Simply doing something, 10 squats, 5 sprints, a push up, anything really is huge. Don't put up a zero. Don't let loses don't let loses eat into your compounding. Furthermore, it's not always about what happens during the workout. It's about being the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. It's easy to train when you feel good. Feel when you feel good. Good. It's easy to train when you feel good, but it's crucial to show up when you don't feel like it. Even if you do less than you hope, going to the gym for 5 minutes may not improve your performance, but it reaffirms your identity. The all or nothing cycle of behavior change is just one pitfall that can derail your habits. Another potential danger, especially if you are using a habit tracker, is measuring the wrong thing. Knowing when not to track a habit. Say you are running a restaurant and you want to know if your chef is doing a good job. One way to measure success is to track how many customers pay for a meal each day. If more customers come in, the food must be good. If fewer customers come in, something must be wrong. However, this one masurement's daily revenue only gives a limited picture of what's really going on. Just because someone pays for a meal doesn't mean they enjoy the meal. Even dissatisfied customers are unlikely to dine in and dash. Unlikely to even dissatisfied customers are likely to dine and dash. In fact, if you are only measuring revenue, the food might be getting worse, but you are making up for it with marketing or discounts or some other method. Instead, it may be it may be more effective to track how many customers finish their meal, or perhaps the percentage of customers who leave a generous tip. The dark side of tracking a particular behavior is that we become driven by the number rather than the purpose behind it. If your success is measured by quarterly earnings, you'll optimize sales revenue and accounting for quarterly earnings. You'll optimize sales revenue and accounting for quarterly earnings. If your success is measured by a lower number on a scale, you'll optimize for a lower number on the scale, even if that means embracing crash diets, juice cleanses, and fat loss pills. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. So I didn't understood the last 2 3 pages. So what do you think I should do? Should I skip it today and continue tomorrow from how to recover quickly when your habits break down? Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. So let's revise what we read today. So we read about how to stick to a good habit every day, and here we read about how a stockbroker named Trent Dismid, stockbroker named Trent Dismid, gained a lot of success in his business by just keeping a track of the number of sales calls he made using paper clips and a jar and two jars. After he made a sales call, he put one clip from the full jar to the empty jar and would repeat it until the full jar become the empty jar and the empty jar become the full jar. And that's how he gained success. Like he kept doing it every day, even if he even because even though he wasn't from a even though he wasn't from very big city, he was in the suburbs. He was in the suburbs. He managed to gain a lot of fundings for his business and gained a lot of income as a very young and upcoming entrepreneur. So after after this, the writer told us about how to keep your habits on track. So he mentioned we should track our habits because it makes it easy to record our daily habits first, and then it shapes our identity that we are a person who never skips the habit, who shows up every day, even if it's a bad day. Habit tracking makes it obvious, it is satisfying. I think I'll start again tomorrow. I read today's read, but I didn't feel like I have gained much understanding of the topic. So let us continue this tomorrow from chapter number 16 only. And let's meet you guys tomorrow. I don't know what's happening today. Actually, I do know what's happening today, but I'll not talk about it here. And I'll try to improve next time, guys. Don't worry. It's a bad day, but I did show up, right? That's what I understood from today's read, at least. That you have to show up. I did, and I'll keep showing up until I get better at speaking English. At speaking English. Speaking English. Yeah. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, go find your purpose, guys. It's very important.